Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So I just watched Last Christmas. Let's talk about it. Last Christmas is directed by Paul Feig, who also directed Bridesmaids and The Heat and the new Ghostbusters. I'm just going to jump right into this review. There will be spoilers here. There's a lot to discuss. I can't even really break this review down into the good and bad because a lot of it is intertwined. So let's just get into it. So first things first, I saw that twist coming from a mile away. Or more specifically, I saw that twist as soon as I saw the trailer for this film, which went viral for some reason, considering the type of film that it is. I knew that Henry Golding's character was already passed away, and I had that theory that he had given his heart, literally as per the George Michael song, to Emilia Clarke when she was about to die, and that's why they're kind of connected in this mystical way. So I saw it coming already, which meant that as I was watching the film, it felt like a second viewing. I'd already predicted exactly what was going to happen, and I ended up being correct on pretty much all of the fronts. Now, when it comes to films that have a big twist where the whole plot kind of hinges on that twist, it can work, especially when you have a really good film that has a lot to unpack around it to kind of create this whole puzzle that you have to solve, and you figure out if you can solve it upon the second viewing or the third viewing. That's more interactive. This film doesn't really have that. So because I'd already figured out what was going on, there was nothing really left to entertain me in the sense of, keeping my mind occupied and away from the things that I didn't really like about this film. I liked Emilia Clarke here. I think she was fine. She's playing a very Emilia Clarke character. She's very quirky and deeply mentally ill as well, which is something that this film just completely glosses over. The fact that she sees her dead organ donor is not something that's, festive and cute, and it's problematic. Like, she didn't know who had given her heart. So the fact that she's able to manifest him in an actual person that she thinks she's actually interacting, those are visions, right? Like, those are clinically treatable. No, like, this film completely just glosses over that. Merry Christmas. But she does have a mental illness. Never mind. Fine. Speaking of very real world implications, this entire film takes place with the backdrop of Brexit, which was surprising to me. I didn't expect Brexit to come up in this film, but hey, it's everywhere else, so why not? I had mixed feelings about the presence of this grave political issue in a light-hearted, Christmas rom-com. Firstly, on the positive side, it is a very real issue. It's something that a lot of people are kind of dealing with today, this kind of discrimination that is a result of certain groups of people feeling empowered and feeling like they can kick everyone out of the country, even though that's not quite what Brexit means. But the whole, speak our language, you're in England thing is very real, and it's actually happened to me. So when I saw that on screen, I did feel compassionate towards those characters, and I did feel like it very much related to me. So I enjoyed that quite a bit, that aspect of the story. Not in a yay enjoyable way, but in the I feel for these guys, and it is an issue that needs to be addressed. So kudos to Emma Thompson for sneaking that in. Also, another aspect that I appreciated is that a lot of people, when they think of prejudices and discrimination against, different ethnicities and cultures, they think of, black versus white, or people of color versus white people. But actually, there's also a lot of white on white issues in this country as well, especially between British people and Eastern Europeans. And this film very much highlights that. So I definitely appreciated that side of the story as well, being able to see yet another form of discrimination that's present in this country. I think it was very important to have that representation there. And I did think it did very much intertwine quite nicely with the overall theme of Kate, or Katerina, feeling very lost and very detached from her culture and her family. So it definitely made sense then to have that whole backdrop of Brexit and, issues surrounding this whole discrimination against Eastern Europeans whilst she's also Eastern European. But my main problem with the inclusion of Brexit in this film is that it was just tossed in there. Like, it was just put in haphazardly. This isn't the subject matter that you can just sprinkle along into a Christmas film. Like, I don't know, the way that it was handled just kind of didn't do the gravitas of this situation justice. I did take issue with its inclusion overall because it's just not that kind of film. And honestly, I don't really know what kind of film this is overall. You have elements of a rom-com, but it's not particularly romantic and it's not particularly funny. And then you also have the whole Christmas backdrop, which does make sense in this story, so I'll give it that. You also have the kind of George Michael tribute angle of this, where I think the effectiveness of that is kind of mixed as well. Some songs work really well for the different scenes and situations, and also the way that they're put in is very important. Sometimes they're just abruptly, you know, George Michaeling the situation, and that kind of took me out of certain scenes because, I mean, I'm not the biggest George Michael fan, so that side of the story isn't targeted towards me. But just sitting as a general, you know, fan of music, it did kind of interrupt certain scenes rather than working with the actual film kind of cohesively. Anyway, going back to the characters themselves, like I said, I thought Emilia Clarke was good. Her eyebrows were even better. And I also found Henry Golding to be pretty great in this role, and I found him to be pretty charming, so much so that I disregarded the fact that it was so weird and creepy how Emilia Clarke just randomly followed him through dark alleyways and, you know, empty parks in the middle of the night. And she comments on this, but at the same time it's like, girl, get it together. You're in like inner city London. Anything could happen to you. Like, get a grip. Michelle Yeoh was fun. She had her own little love story going on there, and it was pretty cheesy. Like, sometimes it reached, you know, pantomime levels of cheesiness, but it was used sparingly, so it was forgivable. And last but certainly not least, the real star of this film, in my opinion, was Emma Thompson as Kate's mum. I thought she was hilarious. She was the funniest character in this entire film. Now, Emma Thompson was heavily involved in this project. She both wrote and produced it, as well as starring in the thing. But I definitely think if there's one element to her contribution that deserves so much praise, it's of course her role as an actress, because she was so funny. She was on another level in comparison to everyone else. It's nothing that's like absolutely revolutionary, but I just think in comparison to everything else and everyone else, she definitely stands out. And one thing that was revolutionary and just simply divine was that joke at the very end about the lesbian pudding. Just mwah. Amazing flourish to the entire film. So overall, I had a pretty fun time with this film, but I didn't find it to be anything spectacular. And again, because I already knew that twist, it was just an uphill battle for me to find anything else that was more interesting. I enjoyed to some extent the exploration of the whole Brexit situation. I always like when a film is set in the UK, it just is more relatable for me. And I very much enjoyed Emma Thompson's character here. She's hilarious. I would have liked to see way more of her, because Emilia Clarke was fine, but you know, she's doing her Emilia Clarke thing and her eyebrows are doing their thing too. So, you know, I would have liked to see a bit more. Finally, whilst I'm not personally a huge fan of George Michael's music, I did think it was very touching and very moving to have his music present here in this film. They definitely kind of constructed the film around the music. Whilst I do think that there were some issues with the flow of it, I appreciate that tribute. I can't knock it at all. And I think that he was done justice, very much so, especially in the character of Kate, who adores his music. So with all of that said, I'm going to give Last Christmas a 6 out of 10. So that's it from me. Now that I told you guys what I thought of Last Christmas, it's time for you guys to let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Please be sure to subscribe to catch new videos coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.